Hello and welcome. I'm Alexander, and this is Native in Tech Topics. I am at Bits in Wales. Beautiful weather. Nobody is going to actually believe that we are in Wales, but we are. And I managed to corner Valerie, another data platform MVP. The topic for today is going to be how do we get stakeholders to listen, stakeholders that don't have time to actually listen. But first, Valerie, could you please tell our listeners who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, I'm Valerie. I'm a data platform MVP, and I'm all about Power BI and data visualization. So I'm all about creating these reports that actually drive action. So not only look good, but you can take all the steps and actions you want to take with these reports. So that's who I am. And I mean, this location today is amazing. We are at Secret Bits, I promise, but we actually found a little forest and a little cabin that we can have this interview in.
I think the word for this is gazebo.
Gazebo. We found a gazebo.
We did, indeed. It's weird, but hey, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. So how do we deal with that? Because I've been in sadly a number of situations where stakeholder says I need this and that, but I don't have any time to answer any questions. So you're either flying blind or heading for disaster, or both.
Yeah.
So what's your take on how to start that kind of conversation?
It's very tricky because when stakeholders say this, they actually already know that they want something, but they don't want to put in so much time. And we need to find out why. Because sometimes they don't really want it. And someone told them, we need this. Mm-hmm. This is now part of your list of tasks. And then they're like, okay, we will just do that. We will just hire someone. We will tell them to do something. Please don't bother me. That could be one of the scenarios. But sometimes it's also that they just don't know that it would improve the quality if they would actually spend time answering all these questions. Because, to be honest, a lot of consultants out there in this world, they don't ask a lot of questions. They just go in, get the task, and do their own thing. A lot of companies are used to that. There are many companies that are very surprised when you say, wait, but if you don't have time for me, I can't create something that really works for you. So often at that moment, they're like, oh, we need to sit together. And then directly they're afraid that it will take ages. Mm-hmm. Like very consultancy-like, we have a kickoff meeting, and then we have a requirements meeting, and then we have this and this and this. But if you tell them, hey, I need this because I want to create something that really works for you, and we can do this in like 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. And then I can ask all these questions. And that means we create something that truly works for you. Often they're very open for that option.
So what you're saying is first figure out if it is just a tick in a box, because then you're screwed probably anyway. And you might as well just do the best of the situation that you're in, or figure out is there an underlying driver. Again, someone told them that you need this, but make it valuable for them.
Yes. But even if it's a tick in the box, it doesn't need to mean disaster. It is a tick in the box for that person, for that stakeholder. Mm-hmm. But probably there is a reason that people want that report. Someone asked for it. It's probably not that person now managing the task.
Right.
But if we find who really will benefit from that report and get their input, that can help. And I really believe that the people that are benefiting from a report, they want to be involved. Mm-hmm. Because they know, this will add value. This will help me. This will make my life easier. This will help me to focus on what I actually want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. But is it always, like in our full day workshop that we ran on Wednesday. Not Tuesday. Not Tuesday, Wednesday. Days are hard, okay? I fixed it. The whole idea is it's all about action.
Yes.
How do you approach the conversation where the ask is clearly not what is needed. They ask for a report to show X, and you can absolutely do that, but that is not going to move the needle. That is not going to change anything. That is not going to be driving any reasonable action.
Well, my approach is to just tell that. Because this is very funny, and a lot of people forget this, but we are the experts.
Uh-huh.
Like, even if you're not working in consultancy, you have your job for a reason. You are the knowledge holder of that area. You are the expert in that. And if I believe that that report is not really helping them, I trust that. I tell them, hey, I can totally do this. However, have you thought about this? Have you thought about changing this? And also, are you sure you can take the actions you want to take doing this? I do a lot of mock-ups for my clients where I show them this is what it would look like. And you can do that quite fast. It doesn't need to look pretty, but just give them an idea what they would get. And then I show it to them and I say, I think we're missing something here. Do you agree or not? And when you look at this mock-up, could you take these actions? Sometimes you need to visualize it for people. And not in a fancy way, but you really need to show them what it would mean. Because they have this idea in their head. But obviously they're not the expert, because otherwise they would do it themselves. So we need to guide them in there. We need to help them a little bit. And it's okay to address stuff like this. It is okay. If you're working in an environment where people are telling you, don't give advice, don't help us to improve, it's the wrong environment. It's an environment you should leave.
I think that's a very good point. And I was thinking I had this fantastic train of thought that just completely went off the rails. But so you've done all the things. It's not something that you will tell everyone, but you have extensive experience in the back end, so the engineering, the heavier tech side. But now you're, in your own words, all about data visualization and making data matter.
Yeah.
The conversations required with stakeholders, would you say that they are more or less technical than most of the consultants would start with?
Less technical.
Less.
Most consultants are so in their bubble, like they have all the knowledge, and then they approach stakeholders with that mindset. But the stakeholders are not in that mindset. Like most people I create Power BI reports for, they have no idea how Power BI works. If I give them all the buzzwords and stuff, they will not understand it. And then that directly creates a distance.
Yeah.
I need to approach them on their level in the way they talk to show them what's going on. So consultancy and working in tech is a lot more than knowing the tools. So funny, all these background noises, all the birds. It's more about knowing the tools, but also having social skills, having psychological skills. That's super important, and it's always skipped. Like on all these LinkedIn articles, they say what you need to know as a data analyst, and then they give you all the tools. I'm like, this is just 20%, because you can master all of that. If you can't communicate it, ask the questions, and really be a person the business trusts, you can learn whatever you want. You will not get far.
No, and thank you for really making my point there, because you use a word that I come back to a lot: trust.
Trust.
We talk about trust in data, but that you can't get there unless you have trust in the process and trust in the people that you're working with. So this is a simple question, but I'm pretty sure that the answer is anything but. How do you learn to speak business as a tech person?
How do you learn to speak business? Well, first step would be don't treat business as if they are the enemy.
That's top tip right there.
A lot of people, I started in the back end, so I have this technical knowledge, but I always experienced everyone seeing the business as the enemy. They want something, they have no idea what they're doing, very negative. And with that negative mindset, you just don't get anywhere because you ruin it for yourself, but also during the conversation, other people feel it if you have that mindset, like they're clueless.
Right.
So approaching them in a way and realizing they maybe use different wording than you, but that's okay, is step one. Talk to them, get involved with them, because then you hear how they think about stuff. But they also see how you think about stuff. Because it's not just as a technical person that you understand the others also need to understand you. It's a two-way road there. And they only understand them if you involve them. They don't magically know what you know.
No, and that brings us back to the original premise. How do we establish this rapport and this trust if the stakeholder does not feel they have the time to talk to us? Because this is not going to happen instantly. This is
No.
going to take some time.
Yeah, it takes some time. And it starts with telling them that you need that information. They need to make time. You can't create something for them if they don't make the time. It's as easy as that. It's sometimes it always feels like in consultancy, especially, people are like, oh, they said no, then I will just make up something. Okay, but then you make up something. It's not what they needed. They will hate it. They trust you even less. Like all these companies that go from BI tool to BI tool to BI tool, and they're like, now we have Power BI, and now it will solve our problems. This is a tool we can trust. No, you can't if you have everything else the same as before, because you will get the same results, just in a different outfit.
Yeah. No, and that I absolutely agree with, because again, we've both been in projects where Click was out, Power BI was in, it's the same crappy data, no processes, and nobody cares.
Yeah, but you see, what I always struggle with is people, I say, don't start a project if no one makes time for it. And then people approach me and they're like, yeah, but you're an expert and you can choose the projects you want to work on, but I work for a company, or I am a junior. And then they're afraid that they will lose their job. But will you really be happy at that company if you need to do tasks that no one cares about, no one gives you any information, and you're just completely lost? Will that make you happy? So if that's your fear, I wouldn't fear as much, will I lose my job? But also, I would start to have some anxiety about being stuck in a job where you get the tasks where no one has time for.
But I would also argue that the first step of no longer being a junior is going, hey, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
This shit's not going to fly. I have a responsibility to make sure that someone makes another decision here.
Yeah, you're the expert.
Yeah.
This is part of the job. It's part of the job to guide, to lead, to show them what's possible. You're not just like an extension of the tool. You actually have a brain and you can take decisions and you can guide them. That's so important, and people forget that all the time. I often get the feeling like people think they're the victim of
the system. Yeah.
of the system, but you can actually do something about this. And if you really are at a job where you can't speak up because otherwise it has severe consequences, I would really think about that.
For sure. So Kevin Klein from SolarWinds, he does a lot of speaking on management, and it just popped into my head that having a session along the lines of extending the tools, going from the 20% that is the tool and talking about how do you extend the tool, how do you make the tool work by learning how to talk to stakeholders, to put yourself in the business shoes, so to speak. Because I'm thinking as we were speaking, and I cannot think of where I would learn these things. It's just this magical knowledge that you're supposed to get. And how?
Well, that's the sad part about it. It's mostly experience. Like everything I'm telling you now, I learned in the past 10 years because I was that person that just did what everyone told them. And then people didn't use my reports. People didn't use my work. I wrote like reports, like project management reports. They were very, very extensive and long, and then no one looked at them. And I was just producing so much content for companies, and no one actually used it. And that's how I learned, like, hey, I need to speak up. I need to do these things. But I think more sessions about that, more courses about it would be super valuable. And also making it less scary. Like, let's say we say the stakeholders has no time for what we are asking for. And then we could say, oh, but we need to have your opinion about it. I need to have your opinion about it to build what you need. I just need a 1 hour workshop. And then they say no. And a lot of people get discouraged there. Or they think I would stop at that moment. But that's not what I'm saying. If they say an hour is too long, I ask, can we do half an hour?
Yep.
Okay, maybe they don't have time. Okay, can we do 15 minutes? You know, I don't care that much. I have like questions I want to ask. And there are like 10 questions, but there are 3 of them that I really need to ask to get started. So I could totally do this in 15 minutes. So then we are talking about it. Okay, you don't have a time for 1 hour. Could we do half an hour? No, 15 minutes. And people are people. They,
I see where you're going with this.
It's also psychology there.
Yeah.
Because they said no for the 1 hour. They said no for half an hour. I'm also a little bit of marketing and sales. They will have a tough time to say no to 15 minutes. Because if I tell them we can do it in 15 minutes, I will squeeze the questions. I will make sure that I get all the information. They're like...
And I'll buy you a coffee.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
So, but it's true. These things you learn by experience. You learn by having seen your consultants around you that do that. And that's why it's so important to work at companies where you have people around you that you can still learn from. And people that actually do that. I also worked for companies where everyone was just doing what was asked. You don't learn a lot from that.
No, for sure. And also, you don't fail doing whatever people are asking for.
Exactly. And the failing is important. It's not the end of the world. And also people often think, like, if I don't create the best report, maybe I get laid off. And it's always that fear in their head. I will get fired. I don't think it works like that. I've never heard from someone that created one report that didn't work or that said no and then they got fired immediately. It's not how this works. Maybe people get a little bit angry, and that's not angry at you. It's just people try to do as little work as possible in this world. So what they try is, I want that report, but I don't want to put any effort in it.
Yeah, classic.
And here you are asking for effort. So you saying, no, I need your time, means that they actually need to do a little bit more. Or actually do the work they should do. And that's what they're angry at.
Yeah.
I had co-workers that were so good in managing their work or giving the work they should do to other people. They had like the most relaxing life ever. I saw them running around at the coffee machine, hanging around, having chat stuff. And everyone else was doing their work because they were just like, could you please do this? Could you please do that? Could you please do that? And they were also the most unreasonable and angry people when someone said, but isn't this your job? So I think that's often what's in the back of their head or their mind.
Yeah. Now, so what I'm hearing is when management or stakeholders do not perceive that they don't have the time to give you what you want, we're faced with a sales challenge of explaining why is this relevant? Why, yes, it's going to cost you a small amount of energy now, but it's going to save you a crap ton later, or we will enable something that you haven't had before. Which brings us to that question. One of the worst questions you can ever ask is, what do you want?
Yeah.
Because A, they don't know what they want. And B, the more insidious one is the fact that their answer is going to be constrained by their experience.
Yeah.
They literally don't know what is possible.
Yeah.
So how do you use that to get them interested in get them to give you time?
What you say is so true. People have no idea what's possible. They don't know what they want, and that's okay. I mean, that's why we work with them. We help them to find out what they actually want.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ask, what do you want? I ask them, what actions do you want to take? Like, what problem is this solving?
Yep.
And letting them talk about stuff. Like, what's happening before? What's happening in your workday before you, for example, open that report?
Mm-hmm.
Then you open that report that you want. How is it helping you? What actions can you take? And then also the process. What happens after that?
Mm-hmm.
Let them explain, let them talk. It's okay to let people talk. Like, a lot of consultants, they have these closed questions. Do you want a report? Yes. Should it show sales? Yes. Do you want KPIs? Yes. Of course they say yes. What level of detail do you want? All.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So more open questions, listening to the answers. So I find it so interesting that the key to getting people's time is not to tell them a lot of stuff, compress into a short period of time, and then make sure that you info dump on them. Quite the opposite. Make sure that they get to talk, guided by what you are looking for.
Yeah, and people like to talk. People like to, especially business people. I mean, if you want to learn something about the business, they like to talk. Let them explain the stuff. Don't fill in everything for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, something different. If I would like to buy a new kitchen, I know I have seen kitchens before. And I know I have like this vague idea what I want. And if I go to the kitchen store, IKEA, I don't want the salesperson to tell me, oh, you get that one. You get that one. I want to tell them like, oh, I like this color, I like this, I want to have this kind of fridge, I want to have this kind of oven. This is how our house looks like. And this is the space we have. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do. I don't want them to say, oh, you have an apartment, then you have these 3 kitchens. And it's the same with reporting and tech in general. Yeah. I don't want someone to tell me this.
But can we dig into this a bit? Because from a technical standpoint, these 3 kitchens are a perfect fit for your use case. Yeah. But still you're saying that you don't want me to tell you that.
I want to see the options.
Uh-huh.
Like, if you think, oh, these 3 would work best, you can always show me, but you should do that with my story in the back of your mind. So if I told you it's very important, I have this massive fridge that I want to place there, that it fits. I want you to show me these 3 kitchens and then tell me, and the fridge would fit here, or here, or here. I want the combination of stuff. I don't want the one-size-fits-all solution. Because people also like, if they get the feeling that it's special for them. I create something for you. You don't get what everyone else has. You get something special. You get my time. You get my advice. I take care of that.
And that's the bespoke experience that a good, usually somewhat senior consultant can give. Yeah. And hence, in return, you get the stakeholders to give you the time that you asked for in the first place.
Exactly. And that's also why I think it's so important that, for example, junior consultants always join a senior consultant in a meeting. I see a lot of companies, they just drop their junior consultants, they market them as senior consultants, drop them at the client, and then they are just so helpless and scared. But how it normally should work, and a lot of companies do that, by the way, is just send them together and let them learn.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just 20% about the tools. It's so much about sales, marketing, psychology, talking to people, communication skills.
So my final question is thus, why isn't this talked about? We both agree. We've been at this for quite a while. And yes, this is obvious to us that these are skills that are needed. But very few junior people are sold this reality. They're sold the idea that no, if you know your stuff, everything else will come naturally. And somehow the hard part is learning the technology, and then everything you're going to pick up along the way. That is not the case. Why is that? Is it because we don't want to tell them what the world looks like because nobody in their right mind would work as a consultant? Or is it that we simply don't realize how important this is ourselves?
I think a lot of people just don't realize how important it is. And I know a lot of senior consultants who don't have these abilities. And they may be good at their work, but as a consultant, they're very average. That you could replace them with anyone. Like if they move or go away from a project, you can just drop someone else and they will give you exactly the same average work.
Yep.
I think there's a difference between these average consultants and consultants that really want to make a difference, that really want to help the client, that want to help them take actions and not just get as many hours in as possible. And there are less of these consultants. And it could be the case that you don't have one of them in your company, and then it's very hard to get the inspiration. It's like these conferences. A lot of people that I worked with, they never have been at a conference. Why have they not been at a conference? Because no one else has been at a conference. So they're like, I don't even know if my company would ask for it. No one else does it. Do I want to ask? Maybe they say no. Maybe they think I'm, I don't know, pretty. These kind of things. If you don't have these people visible around you, you will never think about this.
So you're essentially stuck in a bubble with what you expect a senior colleague or senior consultant to be like.
Yep.
And if you haven't seen what they can be, that was a very, very, very good reason why people should go to a conference. Again, not something we usually talk about the hallway track, but this is even beyond that. Just seeing what can be and how other people solve the same kind of problems. So I think that's the takeaway. Come to conferences. Indeed.
Learn new things. Talk to people that care.
Ooh, talk to people that care. That's a good one. Thank you so much for spending half an hour with me.
Thank you so much for having me here in this amazing place.
It's not like I want to go back indoors, but I guess we will have to do that at some point.
It's amazing.
So we will be back with another episode. We don't know exactly when, but trust you me, this is so much fun. It will happen. Until then, have a good one. Thanks again.
Thank you.